Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to AIT Goldsmith Library. And I want to say a very warm welcome to members of Poetry in the Park who's joined us here today, and also to Liam Devery, a world champion piper and an All-Ireland piper who has agreed to play for us. So. I suppose I'll start by telling you a little bit about Poetry in the Park. We're a community collective which got together about a year ago. It was the original concept was the brainchild of local artist Rose Finnerty, and she had the first poetry meeting outdoors in Burgess Park last February. I joined in March, and from there the membership has grown, and we have put on some events. We have a membership of 240 Facebook members and a core group of about 20 or 30 people who come to the meetings regularly. Now, it's held outdoors, it's held in the park, it's for all ages. Our members currently are aged from 6 to 86. All nationalities, all abilities. It's very inclusive. It's also Poetry in the Park. There is no leader. Any member can host a meeting, and if anybody has an idea, we'll go with that. So there's one of our events which was held in the bog, Poetry in the Bog at dawn. We went to the bog at 4:30 and read Seamus Heaney poetry. And as you can see, one side is the night time and one side is the dawn coming, and the mist and the colours of the sky and the air and the greenness of the shoots of grass and the beautiful turf that you felt like you had to take your shoes off and stand in it. That event probably was the catalyst for our collective unconsciousness to come together and go with any event or any idea that we could think of as a group. And from there we went to the Spring Well, where gatherings were held years ago. We had flute music at the Spring Well, poetry at the Spring Well, and obviously all this poetry is outdoors, outside. So it's the air, it's the sounds of the water, birds, it's the feeling of reading poetry outside. And we make a clear delineation between a social gathering and a gathering to read poetry together. We do go for tea and coffee afterwards, but that hour outside in the park is our hour to read our poetry, read stories. You don't have to read your own poetry, you can come along and read somebody else's poetry. But that shared connectiveness has spurred us on, each one of us, to different creativities event. That's at the Spring Well, which is, people from Athlone, it's out the old Halls Bridge, at the Halls Bridge. Seamus Heaney's that was a great loss, and in memory we went back to the bog at twilight, and we dug holes, read Seamus Heaney's poems and buried those paper poems into the ground, lit candles and listened to Heaney's voice. We had it on record. So that was another event that was very special to us as a group. From all those events and from the years listening to people reading their poetry, we put together a collection, and in December 2013, I'm glad to say that we, with the help of a local printer who sponsored us, we published 100 books, and we walked from the old docks on the Connacht Street right through the town on the 15th of December, across the bridge, giving back the poetry in those books, giving the poetry back to the community, from the Connacht side into the Leinster side, right down to our home stomping ground at Burgess's Park. And that's some of our Sauron in October's salmon by the Shannon, our golden mile of poetry, where we walked from the Loon Gallery right down to number 1, the geographical location with poetry. And there's our oldest member, Anne, 86 years of age, who walked the whole way. Some of the comments, it's the comments from people that has made the event so special. As Anne said, it was like the meeting of the Crossroads years ago, where we had music, where we had poetry, where people told stories, where we gathered to have conversation, storytelling, poetry, and I might have some comments from some of the group who said things like, "These poems have remained in a box under my bed for 30 years. I never thought that I would get the chance to take them out and read them. I've written all my life, but I've never had the courage to read in front of somebody. I've never had an avenue for this poem to escape." So it was very encouraging for young children from 13, all ages and all abilities. So I think in December then, I said we had our walkabout, we had our collection, and from that we found out that we had won, the Poetry in the Park had won the All-Ireland Epic Award. And as part of the prize, we travelled to Glasgow, where we met up with local groups in England, Scotland and Wales, who were all doing their own art in the community. At Poetry in the Park, there's no money involved. We come together voluntarily. We come together as a group voluntarily. But in Glasgow, we met groups who were all doing their own particular community arts in their own community, such as there was a village in Scotland, 400 people, and they had put on their own festival, their own art festival with poetry, drama, art for 400 people. Or in Wales, there was a felt makers association who had built a collective community felt making, flags, that type of thing. So it's great to get that validation, obviously, that people in other countries are working on a community level. Anyways, we've lots of ideas for the coming year. We've lots of ideas for 2014. But first of all, I'll just get on and introduce our members. So I'll read a poem first. My first poem is called The Uilleann Pipe Player. And I wrote this poem out of an experience that I had when I heard a pipe player playing. He was home on holidays from Boston, and he came into Sean's Bar, and the music, you know, almost, it's shamanic, almost, it can be life-changing when you hear music that you fall in love with, or an instrument that you can fall in love with. So, The Uilleann Pipe Player. The Uilleann Pipe Player has many sons. I've met one. Boston Irish, he said, but my dad's from Dublin. You must have heard of him. He's Mulligan. We sat and chatted, and doe-eyes trailed his father, a fine figure of a warrior. Mystic gut soul, thought lost forever, snaps of erotic pleasure as he pumped and squeezed down on the bellows. Jaunting his pipes, squealy squally, wheelie wally, two fellow fiddles and a rustic guitar. Weaving, hovering, butterfly bobbing, mesmic, transcending trances, keeling, wailing dances, reels that reeled out into verses, seams burst of streaming, flailing sounds, like flapping shirts on a woman's line. That's my brother, he's born over here. My dad went back and forth a lot. Boston boy is proud tonight. Head moving, pivotal rhythm, lost in primeval brain plays that take us back to fight and tribe and droning pig squeal pipe. Building up my pecs, he flex, clad across and drether band, tells me one has passed. Don't ask, his eyes say, so I don't. Music is in your blood, I say, as his map unfurls, trying hard to fill the boots of clod and earth and back-breaking work. God, you should have heard my family play together. Accordions, pipes, whistles, fiddles, cousins, sons, father's clan, familiar binds like leather. I can't believe you can walk in here and join the fiddling players. It's Sean's, I say. Well, in Boston, it don't work that way. He's a big man, I thought, and such a small stool. Mulligan packs up his pipe, and Boston boy says goodnight. I'd like you to welcome Liam Devers. Now we have Ray Foran, who's going to read 3 of his poems.
Hi everybody, first time reader, long time writer. I had an episode a couple of years ago, or a few years ago, and poetry helped me come through it, so I wasn't able to verbalise how I was feeling, so I wrote it instead. So these are 2 of my poems. I'll end on a happier one, but this is where it all started. This is called Consciousness. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Turn to see the clock turn 12, through every sinew and every nerve. The internal eye sees deep within, to forbidden worlds, some still unseen. A deeper vision of the past, hungry from the Lenten fast. Unconscious feelings, those repressed, simply have to be addressed. Analysis of dreams before awakens a passage to that once closed door. Invites the unconscious mind to explore those repressed feelings to just folklore. The second one is the same. It's sort of from a similar point of view. There were just times in my life when I was sort of isolated and couldn't explain what I was feeling, and just understanding that isolation and where that isolation was coming from, and asking the reason why. Trying to find that reason. So the second one is called Worlds Apart. The bell it rings, but there's no sound, no place to find my common ground. I watch the trees sway to and fro, lost trying to find my internal glow. Listlessness of which I know my soul is limited to grow. I search and grasp for my true right, to relieve me of this inner plight. To live surrounded in a bubble, I feel alone, no one knows my trouble. Simple pleasures pass me by, worlds apart, I don't know why. And the last one I wrote this morning, I have a few, but I was currently a student here in AIT and in social care, and we're talking about resilience, and my own little lad was having troubles at school, so we're talking about it last night, so it just inspired me to write this. Called Resilience. I saw my little hatchling sitting in a nest, eyes that did all sparkle, show you are the very best. Wings are stretched and ready for you to make your maiden flight, but if you fall, I'm always there to save you from your plight. One day I lift my weary wing and say to you adieu, for each day no second passes when I fail to think of you.
Thank you very much, Ray. We now have some poems from Amy Barry.
Thank you, Caroline. I think you're all aware of the mysterious plane, the Malaysian airline MH370. So I wrote about that. The missing plane. The air around the room hums and stutters with staccato of 100 voices. Understanding comes in waves, rumbles at their weary minds. It first breaks their spirits and breaks their hearts. Then it pokes at every organ and every limb, shaking their bodies, and it all comes up through their eyes, scream of tears cascading down each cheek. A dire time, a difficult time. They miss their loved ones more than words can say. And all together in silence they pray, at morning, at noon, at evening. Unknowable fate, a baffling riddle. What, who, where to search for the last shadow cast by MH370. In my single days, I used to backpack alone all over. And this is my experience in Nepal. I stand, chin jutting outward. The bus piles more people. Son sit on top, like how Mom used to stuff clothes into a suitcase. I sat on it, squeezed the latches closed. Bodies thrust from all sides, someone's bum against mine, queasy from brazen contact, mingled limbs merging close, breath and body odor. The bus restart, jerks, struggles with load. My face lodges under an armpit of a tall, bearded man. Eyes roll. I pull in my stomach and hold my breath. Back of my neck breaks sweat. I bend to squint out. Terrace bumps slope the hills. Adrenaline pumps. My eyes lift to embrace the snow-robed Himalayan peaks. Now the next one will be something very light, and it's about love. This is my favorite theme normally. The scent of her. The breath of her, the smell of apple blossoms wrap my senses, collected around my heart like delicate cobweb designs in the rain. Defying heated stares, shock whispers, I would have cradled her tight in my arms, in the streets or in a crowded restaurant, the way I would have as a young man. I would not have minded that she was married. I would have kissed hard her plump, reddened lips. I would have made love to her had she said she loved me. Classics translated, make music like an angel, turn eyes to flame, made her wonder. Had I been that man as a young man, but I am no longer he.
Thank you very much, Amy. We have Brian McLaughlin.
Thank you, Caroline. Hello. Height. Okay, this is a poem. It's called Wanted a Maid. I wrote this when I had a hangover on New Year's Day. If you don't resonate with the paintbrush, don't paint. Your artistic inner child resides elsewhere. If sweeping the floor gives you quantum derailment, keep the quantum, for the quantum can never be derailed. If you really have to do dishes, consider procrastination, for maybe you are a divine dish awaiting a maid. If drinking fluorine-added water eases the hangover, drink loads, then brush your teeth with fluorine-added toothpaste. If testing out lovely cars moves you, fine, but pick one. Don't live your entire life in a garage. If your singing voice drives others to contemplate the crow, stop. But don't forget to dance to your own birdsong, albeit alone. If you think you're a Hollywood superstar yet to be discovered, great. But don't get too angry when on your red carpet your little dog pees. If eating cucumber drives you to chocolate, delicious chocolate, go chocolate. And when the chocolate's no longer delicious, eat the cucumber deliciously. If your mirror shows not your inner beauty, smash the mirror. And trust your true friends will love the uncombed, unkept, untamed you. And lastly, if these lines don't resonate with you, come to my abode. I have dishes to wash, floors to sweep, ceilings to paint. This poem is called The Unvalentines because I didn't receive a card on Valentine's Day. To those of us who know the pain of Valentines that never came, I send to you an invisible rose. Maybe the ugly duckling you are. In appearance, a genital match, a peer association. But they kept you out, threw up their eyes at your impromptu spillways. And when you suddenly appeared, they switched subject, their menu worthy not of you. In the day of roses, you bled at the eternal thorn. The jobs they placed you tied your wings, tripped and fell the awkward one. Why can't you be like Mary up the road, or Johnny by degrees? You covered your face, found your hermit space, 9 to 5, strive to survive, that's thrive, no energy for the dance. Once a girl asked of me in a crowded cafe, what is love? An articulated truck passed outside, the only articulation till she spoke. Love, the irresistible desire to be irresistibly desired by the one you irresistibly desire, always. Soon, she left. But perhaps she's right with one proviso. It's you yourself you must irresistibly desire. For that you must look a different way, not back at duck, but inward, to dare, to seek your soul's aperture, to dive in the water of reflection and see the flying figure soaring overhead in your image. The swan is beautiful because it is the swan. So begin in the void of roses. Behold the beautiful one, yourself to yourself, on this, the day for love. My final poem is called A Dark Poem, which I wrote in Athlone, delivered in the Athlone Writers' Festival, Literary Festival. A dark poem. In Westmead's second city, Mullingar is the first. Mullingar, famous for Joe Dolan, Mullingar, famous for the statue of Joe Dolan, a dark statue. White he always wore, but dark forevermore. 99.2% of you were conceived in the dark. Figures from the Central Statistics Office. My dad was fond of statistics. He married a cook. He told me 50% of marriages end in regret. The other 50% continue in regret. Lots of regret there. I asked him, given those statistics, why he married. He said, it's not about statistics. It's about man needing cook. Mammy cooked. On the 11th hour, Mammy rested. In the dark, naked, an embryo called me was conceived. I am a concept. You are too. Guinness is a dark drink. We are a winter people. We do best in dark times. 100 years ago, dark times. 100 years ago, we produced Wilde, Beckett, Joyce, Yeats. 100 years on, we have Cecilia Ahern. P.S. I love you. Especially in the dark. In the dark, you can be naked. Be naked. Strip everything away. Have the dark night of the soul. To have the possession of all, you must lose the possession of all. You must possess nothing at all. 100% of divorces start out as marriages. Figures from the Central Statistics Office. 100% of life ends in death. Death, the dark secret, where all embryos tread. Death strips everything away. Why not strip everything away before death? Die before you die. Free fall into the abyss. Become abysmal. Fall in love with nothing. Lover says, you are nothing to me now. Fall in love with such a lover. And to become the dark poet. Rhyme not essential here. And taste the kiss of eternal love bliss forevermore. Maybe. I don't know. I'm in the dark.
Thank you very much, Brian. We have Margaret Egan.
Thank you, Caroline. I don't know how I'll follow that. It was so witty and so humorous. Now, mine is a kind of rhyming poetry, and the first poem I have ever read was Water, and I read it in Burgess Park, so I read that one first here. Water. The tool of the Baptist, this living water, sustaining earth and all within, supporting us humans, this substance matter, this clear water for all to drink in. Spiritually and physically, this nurturing fluid cleanses us and greets us wherever we go, refreshing us daily and renewing our mood while harvesting these waters every way we know. As we manage this commodity, it outwits us all, bursting our banks and the takeover tsunami. The great and the good helps us rise and fall, shattering and scattering the gatherings of many. Between the ebb and flow and the wells and spells, the able and willing rush to the risk and rescue of a people displaced in a bewildering hell to solve and resolve this nightmare of issue. This gift of nature holds strength and power above and beyond all human knowledge. Indulge it we must, but we know not the hour. It claims this earth in a total avalanche. That's the first poem. And I go from water to wind, as we can hear the wind outside, and the weather has a lot to answer for. So my second poem is on wind. Listen and hear the sound of the wind whirring away like a traffic jam, gathering speed that drives you round the bend through gusts and squalls to eventual calm. It's a lively scene of twists and turns, where anything goes nobody knows, materials hewn and strewn like bits of ferns. Everything is disturbed when storm blows. An invisible hand sweeps through the air, spring cleaning away any loose matter, enveloping our space, challenging our care, shaking up and shaking off as storm damage batter. Leaning into the wind enhances our movement, energizing our step, uplifting our mood. Facing into the wind, a hair-blowing tournament, a staggering freedom, an adventure to soothe. Tossing and tumbling through the storm-force gale, like the contorted trees we rebalance in the wind, adding our moans and groans to the tail of the scale, we count the cost of the rock and roll end. Thank you. I've only just got to writing the poetry in rhyme. I'm not into that lovely sort of poetry that I've just heard. So my last poem here is on shoes, my favourite shopping day out. Shoes are special when first they're new, adorning our feet like a mouth with new teeth. From heel to toe, uplifting the two. Interesting footwear, these pairs underneath. Shoes, boots, runners and platforms hold our shape and support our weight, protecting our base as we perform alongside footfall call in any state. No outfit is complete without perfect shoes to indulge and flatter our ego and grey matter. A fashion statement for any age crew, a must to engage as we gather and scatter. The shoe is the clue in the heel of the hunt. It catches the eye and enhances the chances of fair consideration on a different front, from employer status to admirer glances. Shoes are the fuse that ignites action, marks and parks each of our footprints, in a step, in time, our personal selection, when we walked the line of unique events. Thank you very much.
Very much, Caroline. I'm going to start off with a pagan poetry. It's something I put together for St. Patrick's Day in one offset. And it was translated in Irish, but I'm going to do the English version. Here goes. Pagan poetry. Paying homage to a spirit from a far-off land is untrue. Same phrases and libertos we knew were incomplete. I write words and press the key to delete. On the other hand, are they true? Why true to such a lie that I almost believe it were words of glee? The sun is setting and the shadow of the night brings such a delight. Colours and shapes are up above, and bouncing down is a magical light of passion. A glimmer has flashed across my screen, if you know what I mean, or is it a daydream? The gentle sea breeze is now in between my words, and I shall let the haze clear. The stars are dishevelled and scattered across the northern sky. The bar is empty and wonder why. The pagan poet writes, scattered letters, memorial thoughts are spelled out in the heavens. The name Fagin is the keeper of the keep, and now those stars have now split. My day has come to an end, and it is time to put down my head. If I say to you, can we spend time together, will you rewind the clock? Please stay a little longer and make my heart stronger to lift you up. You did know from the start that I would always write for my soul. A glowworm may lift his cup, you may wish that I would shut up. But the moon is flashing and I think gravity is lost, so sit with me now whilst I rehearse this tune. Thank you. This salmon dance something went two weeks ago. I got up in bed and for some reason just came into my head. It's partially the salmon where we gather at Burgess Park. Well, I think some degree we all catch the salmon of knowledge in our mind, and hence the Shannon beside us. And so I'll give this a go and see how it goes. Before I woke, I was in a land of sunshine and tranquility. Now the music has stopped playing, on the other hand is my ability. The words I wish to portray and find there are indictable. The sweet sound arises is not from the fable I wish to portray. My rod is cast on the water's edge, and an inquisitive mind talks to me. My thoughts race so fast, I cannot catch up with them. I try to leave the hawks at bay. The feathered friend is now an image that I cannot believe is true. No, I'm not going to tell you a tale and frighten you away, but listen. There once was a time when we were so young, we had so much fun. If I leave you a dime, will you spend it with me? You know I want you to see the shapes I have for you. My presence is felt. I want you to unwrap your body with me. As I now put my lips on your skin, I have the knowledge to say, thank you for being my breakfast, dinner and tea. You suppress my appetite with softness of your fin, and your tail is not for the bin. I want to hold you all day and whisper to your lips, I caught you. There's a third one in the first one in the book, which is called The Travelling Gull. It's initially, thank you very much to Caroline. Just be a moment. Okay, The Travelling Gull. I had a fear of a failing, but that has now changed. As I look at last night's mail, I feel less deranged. It is time to leave this part and sail. It's time to leave this port and sail east, to say the least. My wings are spread, my heart is calmer than the sea below. The crystal clear blue sky reflects the calm northeastern sea. I steer my thoughts away from the two wee souls that lie below. It is not similar to mine. My wife-to-be lies in a far-off land. As I stumble through my thoughts and memories, the sky has now changed. Rain clouds are now reflected upon the sea. A joyous sound is now heard, and I gaze outwards and see the land coming once again. The sea has become ablaze with sunshine, and the sun is no longer captive. A foreign atmosphere is now in sight, and land is my neighbour once again. The travelling gull has found its home once again.
Lack of height. Okay, the first one I'm going to read is a poem I wrote called Roses and Lilies. And it's kind of about a fear I have of becoming a little old lady, lonely in the world, and nobody knowing me and all that kind of thing. So I was sitting in my garden one day and this kind of occurred to me. Roses and lilies race for the top, a tunnel of foliage running amok. Stones sit silent, annoyed with the weeds. Birds fly above, scouting for seeds. Hushed and hidden, I quietly sit, spying on people who happen to flit in and out of the branches surrounding the wall, heads down and stalking, unaware of my call. I would like to invite them to join me for tea, but the world will not stop for a strange one like me. So I watch the cat sneaking back into his home, and I wonder if he too is feeling alone. Dampness descends with the setting of sun. My contact attempt for today is all done. I will try tomorrow while tending the weeds, and somebody somewhere might stop and see me. Oh, this is nerve-wracking. Okay, my next poem. I very rarely watch the news because I can't stand it really, but I got stuck somewhere in I think it was my mother's house, and I had to sit there and watch it. And I got to thinking about the way humans try and organise themselves into societies and, you know, the various forms of government, and then what the alternative might be. So I kind of sat down and wrote a poem about it. And it's called An Analogy of Civics. I lived beneath a dictator, raising hands up to his chant. His soldiers beat and raped me. My mind became resonant. I lived joined to a communist state, functioning fierce for all. Expression became illegal act. My mind came to endure. I lived among democracy's rule, where taxes disguised all untruth, electing varying forms of same. My mind was fairly duped. I lived in religious order, praying as per suggestion. All queries were ignored. My mind became a question. I lived in a village, staying within the rules. The elders took to spite on me. My mind became their tool. I lived alone, all by myself. No human was my friend. I heard hateful, hostile voices, and my mind began to bend. And this last one is a bit of one about love and lust and all that kind of stuff. And it's about ever falling in love with someone you shouldn't have fallen in love with. And it was when I fell in love with a priest. No, that's a joke, I actually didn't. Anyway, it's just about that stuff that humans go through. And I am a sucker for green eyes, so here we go. It's called Your Green Eyes. Your green eyes gave me lust, lust of brightest red, a piercing knife edge, sounding that time is running out in quick, hurried whispers of urgency. It smelled like fresh meat and felt like running for the kill, only dissipating when the animal was taken down and I was drinking your blood and searing at your flesh. Your green eyes gave me bliss, the bliss of being naturally stoned, wrapped in a yellow-white glow that surrounded the whole of me. My hands touched the air, and walking on that, I wondered if others could feel it too. Your green eyes gave me guilt, guilt of pure evil, the antimatter of my soul. It hovered on me colourless and odourless and absolutely silent, leaving me in a heightened state of my own thoughts, thoughts that raced around in a demented and perverted cinema, running old-style reels through the projector of my mind.
Thank you, Karen. This poem is called My Daddy Didn't Hold Me Down. In my career as a social care worker, some of the words or sentences of that some of the young people have said to me have swam in the deep seas of my subconscious mind, and this poem, after many years, arose to the top, like the gleaming, beautiful underbelly of a newly dead fish. So it's called My Daddy Didn't Hold Me Down. My daddy didn't hold me down, no, he never got me. All the girls were got, but no, not me. I hear them whisper under dark circles of watery arches, and in the sleeve of leaves along the quay. My daddy wasn't fast enough to catch me. My daddy stumbled over quite a lot. He didn't hold his breath upon my cheekbone. His snorting nostrils didn't spit and snot. I didn't smell the sweetness of the cider or look into his locomotious eyes. I didn't scream and kick to get him off me. I didn't drown the Shannon with my cries. Street people think that they can see right through me. Narrow eyes from girls and sneers from boys. They rail against the insides of my insides, but everything they heard is all just lies. Continuing in that same vein for the moment, this is called No Womb at the Inn. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned, now my belly is all a-grown. There is a child inside this child, sinner seeds are fully showing. Now they say there is no room here, no wains allowed, I'll have to go. They're sorry, but the rules are written. Move to Galway, this Bure says no. 16 eyes, 16 years of different faces, kind eyes, knife cold, none your own. Caravan, shelters, locked up places, packed and moved from home to home. God, I swear this one they won't get, tugging on the cord they are. Shifting eyes and whispering walls, I'll break out and run afar. Not for mine the care of strangers, not for mine another man. They won't take what's mine, I own her. Blood is blood, God says be damned. squirming, kicking life inside me. Holy God, I'll raise her right. This here Wayne is not for taking. Mary, give me strength to fight. When she comes, I don't want nothing. Father, can you hear me prayers? Just for me to mind me own one. But I don't think there's one who cares. Thank you. I'm just finishing up with this one, seen as the love team has gone through all the poetry. This is called, This Is Not a Love Poem. I wish I didn't love you. In fact, I think it's only lust. And I can see no future for the two of us. I only want to taste you, take a sip and put you back. Fit you back together in your humdrum pack. I don't want the trials of heartbreak. I don't want the cooing doves. I haven't time to think about the fisticuffs of love. When you creep into my daydreams, when you enter in the night, when I drift and think about you, I put up a kind of fight. This has taken up my time, and I've got things to do. I wish that this would pass, and I'd be over you. So I tell myself it's nothing, that you don't even know my name, that you don't see me as I see you, and to you it's just a game. This is futile and it's dangerous, and it's me that's going to lose. To be or not to be. Not to be is what I choose. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank members of Poetry in the Park. Liam is going to play some tunes here. The next Poetry in the Park meeting is on the first Sunday in April. Everybody is welcome. Thank you.